Hi, welcome to your channel, Generous, Gracious and Gallant. I'm your host, Dr. Ghosh, and I'm back today with another very inspirational and transformational video for all of you. Friends, the video I've brought for you today is about a female chief of Mizoram who became the village chief after the passing away of her spouse. She refused to recognize the British colonial rule and was imprisoned. She, in prison, chose to fast to death rather than bow to the British Empire. She has remained in the mind of the Mizoram people one of the foremost female chiefs of Mizoram who took on the might of the British Empire. I'll be sharing more about her shortly on the video. But before that, I'd like to share with you a brief about the channel Generous, Gracious and Gallant. Since this is going to be a long video of about 20 minutes, I'll take only a minute of your time towards introducing the channel. I started this channel 2 years back. My mission is to ensure that the present and coming generations live by the eternal human principles. Towards this mission, I have started this YouTube channel and also have a Facebook and WhatsApp group where I share with you examples of mankind living by the eternal human principles. Please subscribe to the channel. Also share these with your friends and family, encourage them to subscribe and be a part of our transformation mission. Today on the channel we have got over 1100 subscribers. We have got 35,000 plus views. We have got already over 384 videos already uploaded on the channel. I thank you all for my support. Moving on to our inspirational northeastern woman royalty who took on the might of the British Empire, Lalna Ropuiliani. She ensured that thousands of women volunteers joined against the British Empire to ensure the freedom of our country. Our flag flies high thanks to the sacrifices made by women like Lalna Ropuiliani. The British were establishing their control over India. Mizoram was known as the Lushai Hills. Post the Battle of Plassey in 1757, Bengal was annexed by the British forces. East Bengal provinces of Sylhet and Chittagong Hills were located at the border of Lushai Hills. There were frequent contacts between the two communities, and thereafter, in 1826, Assam also was annexed under the Treaty of Yandabu. The system of Lushai Hills was a conglomerate of independent villages under a village chief called as Lal. These Lals had the power of the land and over the people. Lal appointed a community of elderly men which was called Upa. They assisted the Lals of the villages by advising them on day-to-day affairs of community and village administration. Decision was by consensus of the council Upa. Also, the opinion of the warriors in the villages, Shanjist warriors, also exerted a huge influence, considerable influence over the decision making by the council Upa. These soldiers and the council together helped the Lals or the chieftains of the village come to any decision. Gradually, the British forces started occupying more and more area. They took under them Chachar, Sinlet, and Chittagong hills. And people in Mizoram were resisting at the border. The intrusions of the British increased at the Lushai Hills, or as Mizoram was then known as. The Lals were up in arms and resisted the British Empire's efforts. And they tried to subdue the British Empire. The first instance of conflict took place between Lushai, that is the Mizoram warriors, and British took place in 1826 when a woodcutter from Sylhet, Bangladesh, present Bangladesh, entered and refused to pay safety tax to the Lals as they were cutting the wood in the area of the Lals or the village chieftains. The British, upon this conflict, imposed a commercial blockages on Lushai Hills on Mizoram. The Lushai people counterattacked and were killed in multiple conflicts. Things came to a head in 1871 when the Lushais attacked and killed Winchester, a planter in a tree garden in Chanchar, and imprisoned his 6-year-old daughter Mary. The Chin Lushai expedition of 1889-90, Lushai became a part of the British Empire. Please realize that these were a series of ongoing conflicts. It was not that the Lals, the village chiefs, gave up the territory easily. It was multiple conflicts, and the superiority of the weapons, artillery, and the training of the British forces took on a huge toll on the Lushai people. The various clans of Lushai continued to struggle against the British Empire in multiple retaliatory attacks. The British rule brought about social, cultural, and religious changes, including efforts by the Christian missionaries to change the social fabric of Mizoram. British forces recorded multiple attacks by the Lushai people, especially in the south of Silchar, as there were the traditional hunting grounds. Bloody wars continued till late 1890. The daring and fearless Lushai were sources of terror for the British army soldiers and their officers. They targeted the officers to instigate fear among the lower rank soldiers. They not only fought in Mizoram, that is the Lushai Hills, but they took their fight to East Bengal and Assam. The Lals and the fearless Lushai warriors were not people to keep quiet. The chief and female chiefs of Lushai Hills led armed forces into open conflict with the British authorities. Among them was Lalna Ropuiliani. We need to understand that her husband, Vandula, was a British opposer. He led his people against the British Empire. He was son and grandson of chieftains. And when he was killed in conflict, Lalna decided she would carry on with the conflict against the might of the British Empire. She initiated her warriors in training and ensured they were always battle ready. She refused to acknowledge the British colonialism and supremacy. She also visited other village chiefs called as Lals to revolt against the British colonial rule. She was also able to establish her control and influence over 9 villages in Lushai Hills, Mizoram, because of her strong administrative and fire fighting capabilities. She took on the might of the British Empire. Though her men were lesser trained and did not have the artillery and guns, her ability at fighting, strategy, and a refusal to recognize their might made Lalna go into the legends of Mizoram. The British wanted to produce, take the produce of timber from the Lushai hills for building railway coaches, and they also started prohibited jam cultivation, which is cultivation from moving from place to place to ensure that the soil remains fertilized. They, they introduced forced labor and house taxes. An introduction of the Christian missionaries was in direct conflict with the local traditional practices, religious practices. 1892, British political officer Baharash Sap turned his attention to Lushai Hills, spoke to the Lals and tried to make peace subject to payment of taxes and forced labor. British proposed a road from Chittagong Hills to Chin Hills in Myanmar, Burma. Ropuiliani refused the treaty and refused the forced labor on her people and urged her people and her 9 villages under her control to revolt against the British forces. She invoked the pride of the people in their religious practices and in their traditional way of living. The British came to her villages and requested for tax and laborers. Request is a polite word, rather, they ordered. She informed them that she was the queen and will not tolerate their intrusion and will never supply labor nor pay taxes. She also refused to attend meetings of the chieftains with the British chief darbar of Lals. While other few Lals were subdued, Lalna refused this. She was the flag bearer of the revolt in Mizoram. She said, "My subjects, I have never paid any tax to anyone, nor have we done forced labor. Let them be kings and princes in their own lands. This is our land, since time of our ancestors. They must not come here and trouble us. We must evict and chase out anyone who is an alien." That was her confidence. That was her courage against the might of the British Empire. These covert activities of Ropuiliani and her aim of independence of Lushai Hills came to the notice of the British forces. She organized many attacks on the British troops. They suffered heavy casualties. The British forces were amazed at the strategy, the power, and the multiple attacks. The British officers were specially terrorized because they knew they were special targets. The soldiers used to flee upon the British officers being killed. The British expedition on August 7, 1893 under Captain J. Shakespeare subdued Ropuiliani and her youngest son Lalthawama and made them prisoners. Despite being imprisoned, she continued to resist, and while they were staying in prisons, she refused to have food and water. She was released thereafter and continued her rule in Mizoram. She gave shelter to opposing chiefs and also continued to instigate the British officers. After this instance, war was declared on Ropuiliani and her son Latwama. She sent for other Lals to come to her support and unite against the British Empire. On October 26, 1893, the British forces decide to depart for her village and subdue her permanently. Once again, Ropuiliani refused food till she subdued the British. She was then captured and put in prison along with her son. When she was imprisoned, she again refused food and underwent multiple hardships and never yielded to the British demands of giving up her activities. She opposed British colonial rule even from the prison. Fearless and courageous, she never gave up till her last breath. She refused all amenities in prison. She underwent severe torture in the hands of the British officers, and her son was forced to watch her torture. She died fearlessly, courageously, undergoing torture and shock and lack of food. And on 3rd January 1895, at the age of 86, this woman, inspirational woman, royalty of Mizoram, left for her heavenly abode. Her son, Latwama, took her body and laid it to rest at her own village. Friends, the Mizoram female chief, Lalna Ropuiliani, will forever remain in the memories of the Mizoram people for her courage, fearlessness, and her ability to take on the might of the British Empire. It is my effort through this video to revive her memory. We have forgotten many of our freedom fighters. She not only had men in her army, she took on women volunteers and soldiers to go and attack the British officers and soldiers. A courageous woman, a freedom fighter from Mizoram who took on the mighty British Empire. Friends, it is to the women such as these that we own our freedom. I will be back soon with another very inspirational video on your favorite channel, Generous, Gracious and Gallant. I request you once more, my friends, please join our journey of transformation, teaching the younger and present generations to live by the eternal human principles. I'll be back soon with another very inspirational freedom fighter, the story of another very inspirational freedom fighter from the Northeast. Till we meet again, my friends, good luck, all the best, stay safe.